What's up, Lost Boys? Here we are, Week 4 Fantasy Recap video. But first, let's go Royals! They just got the dub. Big game, 1-0. Our pitchers dominate like they have all year. Let's hope they can get one out of the next two games to move on to the next round. So, go Royals. Now, let's get into it. Week 4 in fantasy football, and what a week it was. We're going to start with our matchup of the week from last week. It was our two undefeateds. Josh versus Matt, and Matt takes Josh down. He sells his soul this week. He starts Taysom Hill coming back from injury. I'm pretty sure Dennis Allen had Matt on speed dial, was doing everything he could to make sure Kamara couldn't get in the end zone. Gave Taysom Hill both goal line touches, then tried to sneak Derek Carr twice during the week. Taysom Hill gets 2 touchdowns, taking them away from Kamara. Not to mention, this was also a difference in garbage time. Jordan Love got 28 points, tons of garbage time points against Minnesota. Josh Allen, on the other hand, was way behind. He got no garbage time points. Josh almost got a miracle from Jameson Williams on Monday Night Football, a 70-yard touchdown to give him the lead over Matt. And what happens 2 minutes later? Matt then gets lucky, gets a safety from his defense in the Miami-Tennessee game to give him that edge. He beats Josh by 4 points. At the end of the day, Matt's team did perform really well. His team is really good. That's why he is undefeated. But Josh's best two players, his top 2 picks, Josh Allen and Breece Hall, combined for about 10 points. That was the main cause of the loss. Josh still put up 162 points. Matt put up 166 points. Matt's team is still undefeated. Not to mention the winning difference of the game was the 58-yarder from Koo to win the game for the Falcons. So Matt comes through big. We'll see if he can keep it rolling this week, which we'll talk about a little bit later when we get into the matchups this week. But a big win for Matt. Next, we're going to go into our other matchup, Tim versus Ryan. Tim gets the dub. Even after only scoring 122 points, his team did not have to score a lot because Ryan's team is dead. I mean, Ryan, we thought his running backs were bad leaving the draft. When he drafted guys like Austin Eckler and Nick Chubb, he decided to one-up us by starting Carson Steele and Cam Akers. I mean, these are his starting running backs in week 4 of fantasy football. Carson Steele gets him negative. He's probably not going to be seeing the field too much with Kareem Hunt and all of his fumbles. Garrett Wilson still can't get on the same page as Rodgers. Waddle's getting thrown the ball by a grocery guy. In general, Ryan's team wasn't good leaving the draft, and somehow it's even worse right now. On the flip side, Tim's team, he got the dub. He is 3-1, and he's really 2 yards away from being undefeated right now. His team overall didn't perform very well this week, but he got the dub. Kyle Pitts is killing him and needs to find something to do at tight end. A-Chain started the season awesome, but ever since the Tua injury, Miami's whole offense hasn't been able to get in a groove. That's really hurting Tim. His flexes are so-so, but he does have JJ, which is awesome. Purdy's been the man this year. He only got him 15 points, but he's staying steady. Like I said, in general, Tim's team's looking pretty good overall. He didn't have to score a lot this week, but he still gets the dub and moves to 3-1. Tim's looking poised to make maybe a little playoff run. Next game we're going to go to Denny versus Pat. This one, as I predicted, was an ass beating. Denny's team is firing on all cylinders right now. I mean, Goff didn't even have one game completion the other night. CeeDee Lamb, he's doing dirty. Denny got horse turd hair rolling. The guy looks like he's 25 years old again. He's just crushing people, had him 30-plus points. He kept Deontay Johnson even though Bryce Young looked terrible. And what do you know? They start the red rifle and he's feeding the ball to Deontay Johnson. We'll see how long that can last, but so far it's been great for Denny. And Brian Robinson Jr., workhorse for the electric Washington Commanders offense. Denny's cashing on that one. Denny's team overall is just awesome. It's really good, especially, I mean, he owned Jason that trade. It was a terrible trade when it happened. It's even looking even better now. So the Laporta injury wasn't long-term. He played this week. Goff, as I already said before, did awesome. And Denny started Rome Odunze. He didn't do much, but he's going to get better throughout the season. So Denny's poised to make a nice run. Pat, on the other hand, not so much poised. Anthony Richardson hurt again, does pretty much nothing for Pat. It's been a huge bust for him. add him to the list of injury guys this year, whether it be Pacheco, whether it be CMC, now Anthony Richardson. Lamar's doing really good for Pat, but it's just not enough. DK couldn't get him any points. I mean, Pat's putting up 112 points, and that's on a good week. We'll see if he can work something out, but at the end of the day, you can't be starting Samaje Perine in one of your starting running back spots. So Pat goes down to Denny. Denny is dominating, takes over first place in the league. He's undefeated. Next, we're going to go with the surprise of the week. Justin takes down Cass. I mean, it's crazy to think. Cass woke up Sunday morning thinking, hey, what color undies am I going to put on today? Because he knew he didn't have to worry about fantasy. I mean, you're playing Barreto. It's an easy win, and we're talking Cass here. The Cass team's always really good. He lost last week, barely, to Matt. Maybe thought, oh, that was a fluke. He's going to get back on the winning track. No! 2 in a row for our Super Bowl champion. And all of a sudden, Cass, who looked dominant after 2 weeks, is looking a little bit creaky. We just talked about Miami's offense. Well, Tyreek Hill can't do anything right now. That was his first-round pick. Unfortunately for us Chiefs fans, brutal. Rashee Rice looks like he's going to be out at least for an extended period of time, maybe not for the year, which is great for the Chiefs. But that hurts Cass. His running backs are doing great. Aaron Jones doing good. Kyron Williams doing good. Jerome Ford doing pretty good. But having those 2 wide receivers, not being able to carry him, Kyler underperformed. Cass got off to a great start with Baker. But Justin, on the other hand, I mean, DeAndre Swift, best game in a couple years. Chuba Hubbard, the guy that he trolled us. Hey, you guys want me to pick? I'm going to bring this up again. I told him that was his best pick of the draft. He's performing for him again this week. He's dinking and dunking. Justin, 12 here, 13 here, 10 here. Burrow and Mahomes still hasn't got it going this year. And Justin gets his first dub of the year. We'll see if he can keep it rolling this week. But huge upset. Justin takes down Cass. Didn't see that one coming. And our 5th and final game, we're going to go with Jace versus the Titty Sucker. Speaking of getting it rolling, guys, don't look now, but those titties are about to be sucked. I loved Cal's team after the draft. He had some bad beats those first few weeks of the year playing the top scoring team. Now all of a sudden puts up 179 points, whoops Jace's ass. Jace falls to 0-4. Jace's fantasy season has taken a nosedive. He started off bad. He compounded that with an awful trade for Denny. He hasn't even started anyone. He didn't even start anyone this week that he did the trade with Denny. So he's literally just gave him away. So bad for Jace. But to talk about Cal, his team was good before. Now, I mean, C.J. Stroud, Nico Collins might be the best receiver in the league right now, which is insane to say. Kenneth Walker comes back from injury, gets Cal 3 touchdowns. I mean, and the thing that we mentioned before with the Rashee Rice, Cal has Worthy. Now, we always talked about, well, with Hollywood Brown out, maybe Worthy's going to get some targets. It didn't happen much, minus the first week of the season. Well, with Rashee out now, too, Worthy is the default wide receiver 1 for the best quarterback in the league. Cal's got to have a lot of value, and he's got to be loving life with Worthy in his flex spot. Bijan hasn't even gotten going yet this year. If Bijan gets rolling, Kenneth Walker stays healthy, and Caleb Williams does anything, Cal's team is frighteningly good. On the flip side for Jace, unfortunately, it's just not his year. His team's awful. He's starting Michael Wilson right now. Zach Moss has been a bright side to him, but he made a trade. He traded away Laporta. He traded away Goff. Goff had a monster day. I mean, Hurts is not the guy he wanted to be. Amon-Ra's doing everything he can, but he drafted Amon-Ra and Goff to get the connection, and it was the connection. I mean, Amon-Ra even threw a touchdown to Goff this week. It would have been double points for Jace. Didn't matter. He already traded him away. ETN looks like he may be losing his starting spot to the tank. Just in general, I mean, Jace's team, he put up 140 points. Wasn't a bad week for him, but it's just been a bad year for him. So, unfortunately, that's the situation with Jace. Our current standings, guys, going in. You got Denny up in first at 4-0, 515 points. You got Roman also 4-0. He's 480 points, but, wins are wins. Tim and Josh at third, Tim in fourth, both at 3-1. Josh has a pretty heavy lead on the points, especially over Tim. Then after that, those are your 4 playoffs, guys. Then you have, the aforementioned Cass sitting at 5th place by himself at 2-2. Still a decent amount of points over 600. And then we got a hogwash of dudes at 1-3. Titty Sucker 1-3. Pat 1-3. Llama 1-3. Justin 1-3. Of those 4 guys, like I mentioned, Cal's team is by far and away the best of those bunch. I think he's going to go on a little run. I would say you're going to be happy you played Cal earlier in the season because I think his team's going to be poised to kick some ass right now. And then at the very bottom, unfortunately, Jace. 0-4. 0-4 in a league with Ryan's team and Barreto. Unfortunately, Jace, we might have to start to study some more fantasy in the offseason because it ain't working for you this year. Next, let's preview our Week 5 matchups. It's going to be a dandy. And our primetime game matchup of the week, pretty straightforward. First place versus second place. Denny versus Roman. Huge game. I just mentioned how much Denny's team has been kicking ass this year and how lucky Roman is, unfortunately, be getting. His first 2 weeks, he plays Justin and Ryan, lowest scoring teams in the league. Then this week, he sells his soul to beat Josh. Well, now, speaking of selling his soul, he made a double down with the devil because look at Denny's team. It's bye week, guys. First week of byes, and the guy who got hurt the most is Denny. He has a ton of guys on bye. He needs to find some replacements. He has no golf this week. He has none of his Eagles aren't playing this week. So A.J. Brown, even though he hasn't had, I mean, Denny's team's a little rough right now with his byes. Roman doesn't really have any byes. His team's fully healthy. It's going to be a tough one. It's going to be a tough one for Denny to overcome. I think something's going on with Roman's team right now. We'll see if it continues to the reason. But I think Roman takes the dub over Denny this week just because of the byes. Denny's going to be starting Daniel Jones. And that's not even because of the bye. So we'll see what happens. But I'm going to give the edge to Roman just because the byes hurt Denny so much. And Roman moves to 5-0 maybe this week. We'll see. Next matchup, we're going to go with Josh versus Justin. Justin just got his first dub of the year. He beat Cass. We'll see if he can continue that momentum against another top dog in the league in Josh. Unfortunately, I just don't think Justin's team's very good. I mentioned Mahomes. I think Mahomes finally gets it going this week. He's playing against me, so that means he's got to get it going. Mahomes gets it going. Kelsey gets it going. Monday Night Football against the Saints. I think that gets Justin closer at the end of the week. His matchups are good. DeAndre Swift, I mentioned before, plays Carolina. Defense is awful. But at the end of the day, I just think Josh's team's just a little bit better. I mean, Josh Allen is going to be on a revenge tour against Houston. Maybe Breece Hall can actually get more than 1 point. So we'll see. The Chiefs' one weakness on defense is their run game. They play against Kamara. That Chiefs Saints game is going to be big for this matchup. But I think Josh does edge out Barreto in actually a somewhat close game this week. Next game we're going to talk about, guys. It's going to be ICU, the bank, coming back from Hawaii, looking all nice and tan with a little, puka shell necklace and looking all fresh, going against the Titty Sucker 4000. I love this game. This was almost my game of the week because not only is Tim 3-1, 2 yards away from being undefeated, but Cal's team has some momentum right now. And this is a great matchup regardless of the records, 1-3-1, 1-1-3, these teams are super evenly matched. The difference is I'm giving it to Cal. Tim has been getting a lot of production from Gibbs this year, and Gibbs unfortunately is on bye. So that's going to hurt Tim. He's not super deep at running back. Cal, on the other hand, doesn't really have any buys. He gets his guys back. Kenneth Walker, Bijan's going to be getting it rolling. And I mentioned Xavier Worthy going to be doing dirty. They're playing in Kansas City, so I'm hoping the Chiefs come out on fire. Tim has a chance with his quarterbacks. That Arizona D, so Purdy could finally have a monster game for him. But JJ is going to be shadowed by Sauce. That might limit him a little bit. And I just think Cal's matchups, Caleb's been bad this year. He's playing against the Panthers this week. So he could get his engine jump started. I'm going to give the edge this week to Cal over Tim on an upset of a 1-3 versus 3-1. Cal moves to 2-3. Next matchup, Llama versus Cass. Cass probably looked at his schedule a couple weeks back, said, hell yeah, I may have lost to Matt, but at least I got Barreto and Ryan back-to-back. Well, he lost to Barreto, surprisingly. Now he gets the check mark on his list, though, Ryan. And unfortunately, Ryan's team is not very good. Is one bright spot of the year, Goddard. He's on bye this week. Ryan's team's going to be in rough shape. Cass, on the other hand, he's got a lot of really good matchups. No guys are on bye this week for Cass. I just think Cass's team is better. We'll see if Ryan can get a monster game from Chase, if Waddle can come out of nowhere maybe and help him out. I mean, to be honest with you, Ryan needs Garrett Wilson to have a coming out party, and he needs Chase to go back to Chase from a few years ago for him to have any resemblance of a chance. And I think even if that happens, it's still not going to matter. Cass's running backs are just way too good. Kyren Williams, Aaron Jones, Jerome Ford are going to outscore Ryan's running backs by probably 40 points. So it puts Ryan in too much of a deficit. Cass gets back into the win column this week. He moves to 3-2. And our final game of the week, we call this the Turd Bowl. Jace 0-4, Pat 1-3. I mean, guys, we got between these two guys, who most of the time know their football, one win between them. Very sad. Very disappointing, gentlemen. Team-wise, I mentioned Pat's team is just injured. It's a lot of injury. We don't even know if Anthony Richardson is going to play this week. He's starting Samaje Perine, who's getting less work now that Kareem Hunt looks dirty. Roschon Johnson might do good. We'll see if Roschon takes some of Swift's carries. But unless Lamar goes off for 40, we'll see. I mean, Jace has Stafford. He's going to have to play him. He'd made the trade with Denny because Hurts is on bye. But unfortunately for Jace, Amon-Ra's on bye. So Jace is in a weird spot. I honestly don't know who to pick this game. We got injured turd team versus bye turd team. So let's coin flip. I'm going to go with Pat this week just because I think he has Lamar has a chance to do something good for him. And Jace's first round pick is gone this week. So unfortunately, I think Jace may fall to 0-5, but this game's going to be a low-scoring sludge fest. Either way, we'll see who takes it. Guys, that's our recap/preview for Week 5. I hope you guys have a great day. Go Royals, baby, and let's go Chiefs. Should be a good week. Love you guys.